Welcome to the video. Welcome to another episode of Benny on the Beat, episode 3. Roll that intro. Hate that intro. Moving on. So welcome back everybody that is here for episode 3. If you're here for the first time, what's up and welcome. Thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel, and let's just jump into the video. So just like we did last week, we want to take a look at a few comments from you guys, a few questions. Is your question or comment going to be one of them? It better be. So last week, Robert said, the good thing about virtual ride-alongs are you can't crash your car. I loved that comment. Why did I love that comment? Surely you're not implying something here. If you want to say something, just come right out and say it. I guess you kind of did just come right out and... All right, moving along. Mavericks Senior .71. Do police officers carry more than one firearm at your department, like a rifle or shotgun along with a pistol? Great vid as always. Fact. The last part was a fact. Yes, Maverick. Like most police officers in the United States these days, we are issued a long gun and or a shotgun. Emily Smith, what do you do to unwind? Oh, Emily, you don't want to know.
That's the sound of the police. That's the sound of the beast. That's the sound of the police. That's the sound of the beast. That's the sound of the police.
Actually, in all honesty, I don't unwind a lot. I come home and I go to sleep at the end of my shifts. I used to play video games a little bit. That was always a nice distraction. But these days, I'm always working on the next video. I'm always producing or making some kind of content, and it is a stress relief for me. I enjoy doing this. Tax Tick question, what is your average number of calls per a day? Anywhere from maybe 5 to 10 calls a day. So Max Murphy asked a question last week and didn't get an answer, so he posted it again, which I love. I love that. What is the most common type of call you get that you respond to? So that's going to vary widely depending on what part of the country you work in, what agency, but for me, probably the most common call is issues related to transients. We've got quite a few homeless in the city that I work, and there's lots of calls for service that come from those, whether it's people urinating in public, whether it's them just hanging out places they shouldn't be, or any other variety of calls related to transients. All right, last one for this week. Matthew Green, love the vids and the real tree. Ah, yes, bonsai. Yeah, the bonsai tree from the video last week. I told you guys I had to go back and buy one at that shop. It was totally what I did. I ran back down, bought that tree, came back and finished the video. It wasn't photoshopped or anything. Please continue to leave your feedback, comments, and questions on the videos, and if you're lucky, you may be picked to be featured in the next video. So before we get into my shift this week, a word from our sponsor.
どうですかそっちは
浮いてるよ
もともと家族でも浮いてるけどね
んなんか言ったか
なんでもない
犬描き得意ですね
うるさい
Okay, so this was a fun shift. We had a lot of very interesting calls this week. I hope you guys enjoy this. The very first one, right off the bat, came in as a criminal mischief or vandalism that had just occurred. This happened at one of our resource centers, like a halfway house for troubled youth and young adults. Our dispatch got a call about a guy that was losing his mind, freaking out in the lobby of this building, throwing furniture around, possibly high on drugs. And I guess as he was being escorted from the building, he elbowed the window of the main door as he left and shattered it. So dispatch gave us a description. A couple of us headed to the area. We ended up finding this guy walking down the street. We contacted him. He tried to tell us his name was something other than it really was. We ended up positively identifying him, bringing him back to the center. But I guess his side of the story was somebody woke him up. He was asleep on a cot, and he says somebody came and flipped his bed over, which sent him into this blackout rage, and he says he doesn't even remember what he did. To be perfectly honest, I wasn't sure this was the truth when the guy told me this. I thought maybe it was just an excuse. But when we reviewed the video at the center, it turns out that's exactly what happened. Some unidentified guy comes over and flips his cot, walks away, and he wakes up and just goes Hulk. So we had him in custody to begin with. Long story short, the center called their boss's boss or whatever, and they decided not to press charges against the guy. They just banned him from the center, so we released him, no charges filed. Next call came in as a disturbance. This was an interesting one. So we get called on this guy that was yelling at the staff and getting in the face of the security. This was at some low-income government housing for transients, and they've been having problems with him all day. So they called us. So we get over there. The funny part of this one is we're talking to the staff. I go in and talk to the gal at the front desk and ask what the problem is with this guy, and she's telling us all this stuff. The security guy comes out. He starts telling us all the problems he's had with him, how he was getting in his face, trying to fight with him. And there's people in the lobby, right? There's people always coming in and out, smoking, standing there. And of course the police are there, so they're paying attention to what's going on with us. So as we are finishing getting the story from these guys about everything this guy had been doing wrong, one of the guys sitting in the lobby gets up and walks by and mumbles something. And at that point, the gal in the lobby and the security guy point at him and say, "That's the guy." Wait a minute, the guy that's been sitting behind us the entire time for the last 10 or 15 minutes, listening to what we're saying and staring right at you guys?
Yep.
Yep, that was him. He was there the whole time. Whatever. At least he was where we knew where he was. So he was walking away from us. We called him to come over and talk to us. He was really belligerent at first and almost went into handcuffs. But we de-escalated, got him to calm down, got his side of the story, and just tried to have a conversation with him. In the end, we got him to agree to just go to his room for the night, sleep it off, start the next day fresh, and we didn't have to take any enforcement action with him. Unbelievable. Thank goodness it wasn't a suspect in like a violent crime or somebody armed with a weapon or something. Just reiterates why you always got to pay attention to what's around you and who's around you. Then I got called to a traffic accident of sorts. Actually, I think it came in as a vandalism, but it was really a minor traffic accident. So a guy on a narrow street had somebody that lived next to him that had a big work truck parked out on the street. When he came home to get in his driveway, the truck made it a little bit hard to get in his driveway, so he maneuvered and backed up some weird way and started backing into his driveway, backed right into the truck. He backed into the work truck and hit the truck. So he was upset because the truck was there and wanted to have some kind of report or file charges against the guy for having his truck parked there. But as far as the report for backing into the other truck, I told the guy I was happy to do a report for him, but as far as insurance was concerned, they may not look as favorably on him because he's the one that backed into the truck. So he ended up deciding after all that he didn't want to report, and we moved on to the next call. So after clearing off the accident call, I looked at the calls available that were pending, and I saw one that, to be honest, it looked like it would be an easy call, so I hurried and grabbed it, thought this will be quick and easy. The details on it said there were a bag of checks found on top of a Wendy's restaurant. So I'm picturing like somebody's checkbook. Maybe it was stolen in a burglary or whatever. It got thrown up on the roof. No problem. Come pick it up, look at the owner, maybe get a hold of them, see if they want their checkbook or just have it shredded. So I get there and turns out they're remodeling the Wendy's. So they're tearing the entire thing apart, and up on the roof, stashed underneath like a ventilation shaft or something, they found this bag. Yeah, a duffel bag filled with thousands of checks. What usually happens when you volunteer for a call, it backfires on you.
Every time.
So I started having nightmares about cataloging all of these checks, going through them one by one. This is going to take days. This is going to take weeks. So I called my boss and just let him know what I had. He recommended I get a hold of a financial crimes detective, which I did. I got a hold of one of them. They started panicking, thinking the same thing. They were going to be stuck itemizing or inventorying all these checks individually. But we all met together and opened the duffel bag and looked at them. It turns out these were like payroll checks from 1999 from a business in our city that had already been cashed. It was like just the receipts or the cash checks that I don't know what usually happens with them, but they were in bank envelopes, like they were being sent to the bank and got intercepted or taken somehow. In the end, it ended up being a lot easier than I thought it would be. We just booked it in as found property and I was able to move on to the next one. Then I got a missing person call with a sister who is the legal guardian of her 17-year-old sister. I guess they had got into a fight a couple nights before. The sister went to stay with an acquaintance or a friend. She was supposed to be staying with the friend, but the girl called the friend that night and says, yeah, I'm going somewhere else. I'm not coming back. So of course the sister, who is the guardian, had to call and report her as a missing runaway juvenile. In my experience on these, you guys that are cops, maybe you can weigh in the comments, but I always seem to take these reports, go through all of the paperwork, enter the kid as missing or runaway, put them in the NCIC database, which is the national, what shows them as a runaway if they pop up in another state somewhere or something. And after getting all that done, we get the call that they've come home. It's not what happened on this one, just usually that's what happens. So I took the report, we got her listed as a runaway. It gets sent on to detectives to do their work to try to see if they can find the kid. Oh, okay, yeah. Then we had this call. This was very interesting. This came in as a medical assist. So medical issues in our city are usually always handled by fire and EMS personnel, like they should. But occasionally, if there are circumstances that may lead to an arrest or something weird or a crime that was involved, they'll call us to come down for an assist. So I got one of these calls to go assist medical at one of our grocery stores. The report was a guy got a hold of somebody walking into the store and asked them to call 911 for him because he'd been beat up or punched in the face or something. So when I got down there, medical had already arrived. They had found the guy and they had already loaded him up into the ambulance. When I walked up to talk to him, they said this wasn't an assault, this wasn't a fight. The guy's drunk, he fell down on his face on the sidewalk, we're gonna take him to the hospital. So they basically canceled me after I arrived, no police assistance needed. So I left, they left to go to the hospital. As I'm getting ready to clear the call, our dispatch advises that that patient had coded in the ambulance. He was in cardiac arrest. They were doing CPR, rushing him, lights and siren to the hospital. Oh my gosh. So the obvious concern at this point for us is we've got to eliminate the possibility that there was any kind of an assault. I mean, if the guy got punched in the face or assaulted, and may potentially die, we need to investigate that. We need to at least make sure. So I drive down to the hospital and I get there and talk to the nursing staff, tell them who I am, why I'm there. They look at me a little bit funny and they point to a room and said, yeah, he's in that room. He's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Like, what? I walk over there right in time to see him stand up, rip the wires off of his arm, the IV out of his arm, whatever he had on him, and start throwing hospital equipment in the room around. There was some staff in there from the hospital. They hurried and grabbed him. They called for security. Like, literally, I walked right into that. He turns around like wild-eyed and sees me, fixates on me and starts calling me sheriff for whatever reason, and with this demonic possessed look starts saying, "You did this to me, sheriff." Oh my gosh. Timing could not have been better. Obviously there was a little disconnect somewhere with communication, dispatch, the ambulance driver, and us. Not that that ever happens. I was just glad the guy was okay and hospital security made it there quickly. So at this point I was running a little low on fuel, so I ran out to our city shops to get some gas. At least one of you guys actually asked some questions about that, where we get our fuel, how we get gas in our cars. A lot of departments, especially smaller ones, they'll just give you a gas card, let you go to a regular gas station, fill up and use their card. But my department, as well as all the ones I've worked for in the past, we have a city shops where all the city vehicles go to fuel up, including police cars. Oh, speaking of cars, you know what? I'm gonna save it for next week. I'm gonna leave a little bit of a teaser. This is huge. You guys are going to appreciate this. This has to do for everybody that thought I made a mistake when I didn't take the new car that was offered me, the Chevy Impala. Most of you guys were supportive of the decision that I made, and I know I made the right decision because of what happened. You'll have to come back next week on Saturday for the next patrol vlog to find out what it is, though. Sorry, I know. I hate to do that to you guys, but cliffhangers. So anyway, after the shops, I had a lot of paperwork to get caught up on, so I went back to the police station. I like to do my reports at the police station as much as I can because we have a secure parking lot. Nobody can sneak up on me. And again, those of you that are cops, you can appreciate this. There is no worse feeling when you've got your face stuck in your computer, whether it's report writing, watching awesome cat videos.
Cats? I'm a kitty cat. And I dance, and I dance.
Or whatever it may be, and somebody comes up and taps on your window. It's the worst. It scares the crap out of you because we legitimately have to worry about being ambushed, and ambushes happen. More often than not, it's another cop or somebody that just wants to ask for directions. Either way, I hate that feeling. So if I have to stick my nose in my computer to do a report or whatever, I always try to go to a secure location where I know people aren't going to sneak up on me. So yeah, that's where I go to do my reports. I had quite a few to do after these calls. Took me a while, maybe an hour and a half to get all my reports done. Speaking of police reports, if you guys haven't seen this video up here about the world's funniest police report, worth checking out. Shameless self-plug. It is PG-13 for those of you that got little ones. PG-13. And with that, that is the end of the shift this week. Between all those calls, reports, and going out to the shops, we stayed pretty busy. And lunch. I had lunch somewhere in there, which I'm pretty sure was Chick-fil-A again. Nice, tasty #1. Thank you guys for all of the feedback and all the comments, the suggestions. Keep them coming. Remember to like the video if you enjoy these or get anything out of them. Those likes tell YouTube it's good stuff and helps more people find the channel. As always, we can't wait to see you guys until next week. Everybody have a great, safe week, and we will see you then.
Let's level up, pedal to the metal when I play the cut. Doing double time like double dutch. Stay a dime a dozen, so I double up. These late nights finna pay off. Gonna take flight, no days off. My blood pumping, my blade sharp. Young Savon, tryna save all.
Cats? I'm a kitty cat. And I dance.